Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse episode 480. I am Peter and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what is cracking?
A Kraken is cracking. Well, not this week. There's no Krakens in this week's books.
No Krakens.
But,
we haven't read Aquaman in a minute, so.
Much to my dismay. But yes, this is a DC Comics podcast. We get together to talk about the books we read this week. Coming up on this week's show, we have Detective Comics 1102, Superman 31, Absolute Wonder Woman issue 13, Green Lantern 28, The Flash issue 26, Justice League Unlimited issue 12, and Green Lantern Dark issue 7. That is what's coming up on the show. Plus, patrons and YouTube members can expect a new Batgirl Year 1 review this weekend, so look out for that as well. But I'll tell you more about how you can support us at the end of the show. We also have solicits to look at because we recorded a little bit early last week, so we just missed the solicits, so that'll be something we're doing today for January's list of books. So all that and more. Well, not more, like I said everything, but imagine more. Matt, how was your week?
It was pretty okay. One of the reasons that we recorded early was so I could watch the AEW pay-per-view in time, and come to find out, and now that hindsight's 2020, then it started at a regular West Coast time. So, me trying to be cautious, pushed us by a little. But I had a nice Saturday off. It was great. And then what else? I think nothing too exciting. It's been a pretty low-key week. So trying to think what movies I've watched, but nothing. I watched Long Legs again. It was my wife's first time. She didn't particularly like it. So, she was like, well, that was a weird one that I've seen now. So I think we're going to watch The Monkey this following. You can get the 2 tastes of Oz Perkins.
Yeah, The Monkey's definitely a bit different to all the rest of his stuff.
Yes.
It's okay. It's an okay movie. It's not a great movie. It's just okay.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, but I went in knowing absolutely nothing. And the fact that it was kind of zany, endeared it to me. I was expecting that, especially after Long Legs and The Black Coat's Daughter and the other movies, Gretel and Hansel, that I was associating with Perkins. Having something a little zany was a nice change of pace. So, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been watching horror movies. I've been squeezing in some extra ones where I can, but I've been doing a lot of recordings this week because not only am I doing extra stuff for streams with Tim because it's October, David has time off, so we're just banking extra episodes and getting ahead. So I've been watching a bunch of Sidney Lumet movies this week, which was not nothing related to spooky season. It's just a bunch of movies, but some of them are very, very good. So if you ever get a chance to check out The Pawnbroker or The Hill or Failsafe, I would recommend you do so. But yeah, that's assuming you're into 60s movies. You're not here for that though, so you may not be. You're like, no, I want superheroes. I want capes. I want laser beams from eyeballs and people in black leather punching each other.
I'm just shaking my head, yes. It also sounds like when you said black leather punching each other, you're also describing wrestling, so.
They don't wear a lot of black leather in wrestling, do they?
No, sometimes, though. Definitely in the late 90s. That was a thing.
I was thinking more, bat-related characters and stuff of that sort.
So a really cool thing that happened this week with AEW, speaking of wrestling, is because they're owned by, or at least partially owned by Warner Brothers, right? They did a crossover with KO. So all of the LED boards and signage on the ring was all DC KO, which I thought was really cool. It's two of my things coming together.
Although I don't think they're partially owned by Warner Bros. I think there's a relationship because they have a contract with the TV stations for the broadcasting.
Yeah. And that's what I meant. That's why it's a thing. Because I know Tony Khan's the full owner, but I think, they definitely have a little bit more of incentive than just as a distributor, But they seem to value the partnership. And then on top of that, one of my favorite wrestlers is a woman named Chris Statlander. And she's had another kind of creative change. And she's starting to dress like Starfire. And as people know here, I love me some Starfire. And so just the fact that she's, you know, it's a bit more subtle than, you know, just straight up Starfire, you know, cosplay. Like Penelope Ford and Megan Bain came out on Saturday dressed as Harley and Ivy, which I thought was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just that Chris Statlander, whose original character when she came to AEW was this alien who has experienced the world for the first time.
Starfire is also an alien, so it's not exactly that far away from the original gimmick.
Nope. And for a while I thought it was crazy, and then this gear, especially for the pay-per-view, it looks like it was pulled from a page from Starfire. So, you know, I'm onto her little subtle type things. But yeah, as a Starfire fan, as a Statlander fan, it was really cool. It's really cool to see my two favorite things kind of merge together.
I would just make a note. I'm going to message Chris Statlander and just tell her to get a restraining order against some guy named Matt in Nevada because it's for her own good. Hey, she's not done it intentionally, but she's basically pandered to one very specific sicko, and she should be warned.
Sicko. Yeah, you know, I definitely cannot get within 50 yards, but that's just for me. I know that's my own limit. You know, I'll definitely make a fool of myself. It took me a solid 20 minutes to go up at a wrestling convention to talk to Brody King, who's just this very large man and current AEW tag team champion. But yeah, and I had paid to talk to him, so this was So someone like Chris Statlander, absolutely not. There's no way. I would forget how to talk.
All right, well, let's move this swiftly on, shall we? We'll get into the Kindle rankings, formerly known as the Comicsology Top 10. Just looking at how the books are ranked currently on the Kindle store as of the time of recording, which is Saturday usually, which it is today. So, Matt, you got a guess for what number 1 is?
I'm going to guess Absolute Wonder Woman 13.
Yeah, that's correct. That wasn't that exciting. You just got it quickly, easily. It's doing well. Happy to see it. Number 2 is Ultimate Spider-Man. Number 3 is Ultimates, and for some reason Marvel are ending all their Ultimate stuff early next year. That was one of the big things they announced at New York Comic Con. But that, and also Williamson's doing Iron Man, so he can go do that. But number 4 is Superman. Number 3 is New History of the DC Universe. Number 6 is Justice League Unlimited. 7 is X-Men Book of Revelation. 8 is Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion, 9 is Detective Comics, and 10 is The Last Wolverine. Looking elsewhere for the DC stuff, Green Lantern's number 11, Flash is number 13, which I think's a bump for that. I feel like that was lower before this new run started. Sure. So I guess that's a good thing. Immortal Legend Batman's at 16, and then we're going down another row or two before we get to Green Arrow, which is a shame because now that we've started it, that run is pretty good. But yeah, but hey, that is how the rankings are looking this week. I think Marvel beat DC 6-4 in the top 10, but not like a huge advantage, just a little bit over half. So it is what it is. But that is the Kindle rankings. And getting through that quickly because we got solicits to talk about. This is the January 2025 solicits. Interestingly, we know a lot of the new Vertigo stuff starting in February, so I feel like the February one's going to be a lot more dense with a lot more new books. There's a couple of like one-shots for the event and things like that in this one, but it's mostly by the numbers, I think, from the glance that I had at it. But we'll go through the books, see what's there, and give any thoughts on covers or whatnot. So this is the solicits for January. First up is DCKO issue 3. As expected, big event, makes sense. Lots of covers. Some of them looking kind of good. There is what looks like, I'm just going to click on it to see it properly, but there is a Street Fighter looking cover with Superman and Guy Gardner with a big V's between them and like a character select screen at the bottom. That's a nice little touch. Yeah,
it's a Dan Mora cover.
Yeah, Dan Mora. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
We have another Daniel Warren Johnston wrestling maneuver. Kind of. I think this one's, is this Harley and Lobo? Yes. So.
Wait, isn't that Will Ospreay and Firestorm?
No, yes, that's the Dan Mora cover, but the Daniel Warren Johnson is Harley with a fork. Moxley style.
I see. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
That's because you said wrestling, and my eye just caught because I can see the wrestling ring in that one, even the thumbnail size, and I'm like, That's Will Ospreay. What are you talking about?
Yes. Yeah, that's Osprey looking like he's gonna give a burning hammer to Firestorm, which
Well, it's funny. That's he's already burning, so that's kind of funny.
Yes,
Admittedly,
exactly.
anyone who knows nothing about wrestling does not get the humor of that, but it's funny to us, so that's fine. And then next up, we got DC KO Night Fight issue 3. So this is the sort of the secondary book that's launching in November to go alongside. This is also Williamson and somehow also Dan Mora, even though Dan Mora's drawing because he did Unlimited this week and he's doing so many goddamn books. Mora. There's always Mora where Mora came from. No? Okay.
That's the secret to his name, right?
So yeah, and that looks like, well, it can't be Batman versus Red Hood because events that have happened that I won't get into, but that's what it looks like on the cover. And we have what I think is a one shot here, which is the DC KO The Kids Are All Fight Special issue 1. This is Jeremy Adams writing this with Trevor Mercer on the art. And it seems to be John Kent, Cassandra Cain, babysitting a bunch of the sort of teen and younger heroes that are left around on Earth. Although, I do take umbrage with the description because it just mentions John Kent babysitting a bunch of heroes, and I'm like, there is no way Cassandra Cain is one of the ones being babysit. How dare you, solicit text.
She's the, you leave a kid in charge, but there's also an older person somewhere close. That's what Cass is, right? Cass is the actual person that's supervising. So
yeah, I'm not saying John Kent's immature because he isn't, but I feel like Cass is the one that has seniority in this regime that we're seeing on the cover. That said, though, I don't know if she's on all the covers, so maybe she's just got like a cameo or something, and that's why she's not mentioned on the text.
But it looks like Jay Garrick's daughter. I already forgot her name.
Judy
is on there. Judy, yeah, Judy, and then looks like the Mr. Terrific kid. And Shoes there as well. So pretty eclectic. These are not who I would associate as like the kids, right? These are all somewhat new, with the exception of Cass and Shoes. Leon's been around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I like the development of having Shoes pop up more and more between Cheetah and Cheshire. Then this again, it feels like there's a solid team of people like keeping everything tied together right now at DC, which feels good. Next up is Superman 34, continuing on this tie-in arc for DC KO. So, yep, as you'd expect. Eddie Barrows on the art. He was on this week's issue of Superman as well. So we'll talk more about that later. Justice League Unlimited 15, continuing the tie-in arc to KO. Dan Mora somehow on this with Mark Waid. So, fair enough. But we had the first part of this arc today, so again we'll talk a bit more about this later. Do you know what? I was feeling this today because we had like 3 different books were all tying into KO, and I was like, this does feel like an old school event like season where there's a bunch of books tying into it.
Yeah, and they're doing it in their own way too. It's not like they're supplementing what's going on in KO in that way where like, oh, this is what's going on for this character in KO. It's like these are stories based around that.
Yeah, well, there's that, but I think one of the things that sometimes gets a little bit repetitive and tedious when they do these events and they do a bunch of tie-ins, whether they're one-shots or just the regular books, is they do like some sort of like format. Well, like, take Nightmares, for example, where it's like everyone's getting 2 issues of Nightmares. The problem is, though, is that they all have basically the same concept, so they're very repetitive to read. I don't feel like any of the things I read today for KO tie-ins, it felt like they were doing the same thing. It all felt like they were doing different pockets, different corners.
It felt like the stories were spitting out of KO, but their own story, right? Like I feel like whatever happens in KO isn't going to really impact Justice League Unlimited exactly.
Yes,
right? It's just
I mean, I think whatever they do in Unlimited might have a nice positive effect on what could happen in KO, but like it feels like the universe feels like it's in a good place. Is all I'm trying to say. Anyway, Flash issue 29 still again tying into KO. We're back on this book as of today, so we'll be talking about that later. So that's cool. Titans 31 is also still tying into KO, and this is one we're not jumping on because it is the same creative team as it has been. So, but it is there and is going. And then we have DC KO Green Lantern Galactic Slam issue 1, which is a cool title, and this is a Kyle Rayner centered oversized one shot by the looks of it, tying into KO. So that's cool.
And is that Omega Bandman as well?
It looks like that wrestler did. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Flash, he showed up in Adam's Flash and is a amalgamation of 80s wrestlers.
So the other thing that's kind of nice about all these KO tie-ins, is that it's giving like weird spotlights to a bunch of characters who are not in the tournament. So, this is going to be Kyle Rayner focused because he's not involved in the tournament. So it's giving other people a chance to shine in weird ways, which is cool. Then that's all the KO stuff, it seems like. So that wraps up that, but there's still that's plenty for a month of event-related stuff. Then we're on to the Absolute books. We got Absolute Batman 16. This is part 2 of the crossover with Wonder Woman. And I say crossover, what I really mean is 2-part or guest starring Absolute Wonder Woman. I don't think it's actually affecting Absolute Wonder Woman's book per se. But yeah, it doesn't look like Batman's been very kind to her based on the cover, but we'll see how that goes.
He's saying go to hell, but that's where she's from, so it's basically like him telling her to go home.
Oh, do you know what? I don't think I noticed the question mark. So I think it's actually less. I thought he was saying go to hell, like piss off. What he's actually saying is it's almost as if she's suggesting we should go to hell to fix whatever the problem is, and he's like, go to hell. Okay, yeah. I think I'm reading that differently now that I'm looking at it properly. I ignored the question mark before.
It's very funny.
It's good. It's good. I'm looking forward to that. And then we get Absolute Wonder Woman 16. Start of a new story arc. Hayden Sherman back on the arc. He may be back on it before that issue, but he's definitely not on this one and the next one that we're doing today. So that is cool, and the obviously there was a reveal of Zatanna in Absolute Wonder Woman recently, and that seems to be coming up with this issue, so that's cool. Absolute Superman issue 15. Faraya on the art. It's always nice to see. I'm happy to see that. Absolute Flash issue 11. Continuing on, Absolute Green Lantern issue 10. Also continuing on. And then we have Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 8, which notably does not have solicit text, which might just be a formatting error, or maybe they're being super secretive and they're like, we cannot tell anyone what's happening in this book.
Yeah, that's a really cool cover though, because it has all the lines making angles as they intersect with the different colors.
Well, they kind of make an X.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's got to make it. It's like, this is Jean Xavier. This is Professor Manhunter, whatever you want to call him. We got Batman issue 5. So that's obviously been a book we've been enjoying the first couple issues of. That's coming. Nightwing 134. Getting deep into the arc that we're on. Yeah. Sadly, V. Ken Marion's on the art on this one, so it looks like Dexter Soy's having to take a little bit of time off of it, which is a shame. But, hey, can't always have the artist. Unless you're Dan Mora, who can do 15 books a month, like, you can't do it. Then we got Batgirl issue 15. Steven Segovia is on the art on this issue, so that's also getting a guest artist in for at least an issue or two. So that's cool. And then we have Batman and Robin 29. Scarface stuff still ongoing from the Quiet Man arc, so that's nice. We then have Detective Comics 1105. And that is a chunky suit Batman's wearing on that cover.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, he's
what's going on here?
It's like metal, and he's got like a sort of like breather kind of part of his mask. It's it looks like he's in like sort of like, obviously there's a lot of talk of disease and quarantine so far in this arc. This looks like he's got into like the epicenter of where all the viruses are coming from or something. That's what that looks like.
It's almost like he's wearing a containment suit.
Yeah.
Right? Like a containment bat suit.
Oh man, the variant's even nicer. Look at the variant of that. Yeah. You can see the pipes coming out the back of his cowl. That's actually really cool. I'm into it. It's got like a, I don't know. It's like Batman Big Daddy. If you've ever played BioShock, anyone, that's kind of like Batman's take on that. Then we get Catwoman 83, which we're not reading, but that's a cool Court of Owls cover.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's nice. Can't say no. Maybe, sometimes I'm like struggling to put things on the vote. Maybe one of the things that I'll put on, not the next one because I've already put the vote up, but maybe one of the things I'll put on is the first issue of this Catwoman run when Greenbeck took over, because we never tried that. That may be worth throwing the vote at some point.
Because I was contemplating, like, do I have time to try to see what's going on? But yeah, if it goes up for a vote, then definitely.
Yeah, it gives us a good excuse to try it out. because the covers have been cool, if nothing else. Then we have Harley Quinn 58, which, I'll be honest, is Elliot Kalan a new writer on this? Has he been there for 6 months already? I have no idea. So, it exists.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Then we have Poison Ivy 40, G. Willow Wilson, with David Gianfelice. I'm going to say that's pronounced.
Yeah.
Do you know, Wilson's had a hell of a run on this book. She's been there since issue 1, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for a book that felt like it was only supposed to go like a year, we're up to issue 40 being solicited. So I
mean, outside of some of the obvious big ones that are just going for like tons of numbers, this is one of the longest running books. Like, this is like just a little bit behind World's Finest, and then, you know, the only things that are longer than that are, you know, your Batman. I mean, and even Batman and Superman renumbered, so they're not even that far. But Nightwing is like over 100, and that's a bit. And obviously, Detective in Action. So I mean, good on Wilson for keeping Ivy going this long. They have Harley and Ivy Life and Crimes issue 3, and we may have to read issue 1 of that, Matt, because it's on the vote for next month. Yeah. So
gotcha.
We'll see if we get pulled into that.
I'm never gonna have to complain about reading Ivy, you know.
Yeah, this doesn't look like my sort of book. Like, I can just kind of tell it's written for a certain type of audience, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the audience might make us read it anyway, and we'll give it a try if so. Superman Unlimited issue 9. Not much to say,
Very
really.
classic looking cover here.
It's got heavy inks. There's heavy lines on this cover. Yeah. Yeah, so that's cool. And then we got Supergirl issue 9, with Joe Quinones on the art for this, and the next issue after this I saw him tweeting about. And then we got Action Comics 1094, and that's a really interesting cover, but sort of like Jonathan Kent's in like a SWAT team outfit or something. He's got a little super badge on it, but it's like a SWAT vest. So that's interesting. We got Batman, Superman, World's Finest 47, which is Mark Waid and Adrian Gutierrez. So we'll see. Oh god, I'll be honest. That cover fills me with dread. I do not like what I think this issue is going to focus on. We've got this weird Batman Superman combination that was introduced earlier in the run, and then we've got a Lex Luthor Joker hybrid.
Yep. And you see, Pete, he has a mohawk because Lex doesn't have hair, but Joker does. So,
well, technically, we're only seeing him from the side. That could be like, it could be more of a Two-Face thing where half the head's got hair. It's hard to tell.
True.
It's probably a mohawk, but I'm just saying there's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's a shame because I really enjoyed that last issue, but this cover, this merger arc does not fill me with much hope. This is the finale? No, it's not. I just assumed that it was. Okay, well, I'm not looking forward to this merger business, but we'll see. Wonder Woman 29, which interestingly has Stephanie Williams writing with artist Jeffrey Spokes. So I don't know if they've said if this is just a fill-in issue and King's back soon after. I mean, I've not heard that issue 28 is the end of his run, but worth mentioning. So yeah. But yeah. Next up, we have Wonder Woman Black and Gold 2026 Special Issue 1. Black, white, and gold is the color scheme, just like the Superman Red and Blue and so on. We got Adventures of Superman, The Book of L, Issue 5, the next Philip Kennedy Johnson issue. And then we got GSA Issue 15, and it's still doing GSA Year 1, which I'm a little curious about this Year 1 arc coming up. I'm a little bit hopeful. We'll see. We got Green Lantern 31, with Osvaldo Pestana Montpeller on the art. I have never heard of this artist, but that is a cool name.
Me neither.
And then we got Green Lantern Corps issue 12, as expected. Aquaman issue 13, and there's two Miras fighting on the cover.
So I'm looking at to try to figure out reading the thing, but yeah, that's what it looks like, right?
If not, then it's certainly another woman of Aquaman's type. I'll say that.
Yes. Red hair, wearing it looks more akin to Aquaman's Aquaman suit with the gold or the orange scales. But yeah, definitely a lot of red hair flowing around there.
Yeah. Justice League Red issue 6 is next, so that's cool. Doesn't sound like it's saying. I mean, it doesn't say final issue anymore anyway. But there's nothing in the text that says, "Oh, the conclusion" or the stunning finale or anything like that. So it might not be the last one. Because part of me thought this might just be a 6-issue series.
Yeah.
And then we got Cheetah and Cheshire robbed the Justice League issue 6. This is the final issue, pretty assuredly. So, yep, looks good. We've been enjoying that a lot. And then you got Justice League Godzilla Kong issue 7, wrapping that one up as well. So there's a few minis ending in January for making room. Next up, the Valentine's special for the year, which they're putting out at the end of January, is DC's Supergirl Next Door. Now, it's not their best pun ever, but I get it. It's there. Like a lot of these anthology specials that are $10, you know, it's 100 pages, or 80 pages, sorry, and it has, you know, like maybe 8 stories by different writers, none of whom are like writers who have like regular ongoing books. It feels like this is always like the trial grounds for a bunch of like newcomers to come and try stuff. So yep, that's the thing that's happening. And then we have Batman Green Arrow The Question Arcadia issue 2 by Gabriel Hardman. Very much looking forward to that when it starts out soon. Immortal Legend Batman issue 6 is there, as is The Batman Second Night issue 3, wrapping up that trilogy of a Black Label book. Court Children of the Round Table is there. Gotham Academy First Year issue 4. And Teen Titans Go issue 11 rounds out the kids section, if you will. Mad Magazine 48. And then after that, we've got some facsimiles, reprints, that kind of thing. Before we get to the collected editions. Oh, that's bold. They're soliciting Hattush. And they're not even calling it Volume 1. They're not even saying, like, oh, there's a second part coming. They're just saying this is all of Hattush.
Yeah, it says collects Batman 158 to 163 and the Hattush Prelude from Justice League Unlimited 1. So, yeah.
Yeah, and for the record, they have written it in the title as H2SH. Like, they're keeping that consistently going. For some reason, I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, there's a trade paperback of that as well. You got Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman trade paperback. You've got Kanga Yu, Lost in the Labyrinth trade paperback, which is obviously one of the young adult books. We have Absolute Power trade paperback. We have Gotham City Sirens Unfit for Orbit. That was that 1 month kind of 5 week thing that Leah Williams did a few months ago. We got Batman Superman World's Finest Volume 8, 20,000 Leagues, which seems to include the Bizarro story and maybe some other stuff. But
it says World's Finest 35 to 37 and then 40 to 43.
So I think 35 to 37 was the Bizarro story. So whatever 40 to 43 is going to be. And then there's a trade paperback of that. There's Batman and Robin, the Gotham Cycle, which is the second volume of Johnson's Batman and Robin run. We have Harley Quinn Volume 2, Friends with Detriments. That's a funny title. I'll give them that. The New Gods Volume 2, Edge of Darkness hardcover, second half of Ram V's New Gods. Obviously, we're getting near the end of that. Trade paperback is also available of that. Mr. Terrific Year 1 trade paperback solicited. We have DC's Finest, The Demon, Birth of the Demon. Some more of those like classic collections getting reprinted in this format. DC's Finest, The Flash, The Fastest Man Dead.
That's a fun title.
Yeah, which is... Where are we here? Flash 197 to 229. Oh, that's a hefty chunk, actually. Yeah, that's 670 pages. Jeez. Yeah, so that's is that the end of like Volume 1 of Flash? Like before
it's
Crisis?
Yeah.
It must be, right?
It says that the 200th issue and beyond in this volume of the Flash adventures from the early to mid 70s. So not quite all the way to the
yeah, but that's pre-Crisis, yeah.
Yep.
Which I guess I'm not surprised by because I don't really recognize all the writer. I mean, I recognize Dennis O'Neil, but not the other ones.
Yeah.
So we got Flash Rebirth Compact Edition. So, yep, that's that. There's Nightwing Leaping into the Light Compact Edition. So that's obviously part of Taylor's run. There's Superman, The Man of Steel by John Byrne Absolute Edition hardcover. So that'll just be the 6-issue miniseries, of course. Kind of wailed if they did the rest of his run in absolute form. But it's got a cool cover on the outer box, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
There's Dark Knights of Steel All Winter trade paperback. Then we have Elseworlds Batman Omnibus Volume 1.
Let's see what these are.
Was this like all the digital first stuff? No, it's not. It's Gotham by Gaslight, and then it's Holy Terror, and it's basically just a bunch of different Elseworld Batman stories all put together.
Yeah. It's a lot of them, too.
Oh, it's 1,400 pages. It's a metric shit ton of them. That's a lot. It's a lot of alternative Batman.
And it's only a volume. Yeah, and it's only a volume 1 as well.
Really?
So,
that's funny.
Yeah, that's what it says.
All right. All your weird varieties of Batman that aren't the main Batman. Will the real Batman please stand up? I thought you'd laugh at that. I thought I'll be fine to take a drink. I'll pop Matt. He can laugh and say something, and I'll take a drink. But no, because I
got very excited for the next thing on the list, which I'll probably be picking up myself.
What, a reprint of Supergirl being Super?
Yeah, because I don't have the trade, so I should probably.
Okay, I mean, I'm sure there was probably a nicer, like, deluxe hardcover at some point you could have got.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Then we got Supergirl, Bizarro Girl, new printing, so that's part of the Sterling Gates run. So it's nice they're keeping that in print. And then for some reason, Catwoman, the New 52 Omnibus, Volume 1. So if you want the Ann Nocenti run, which actually goes into other writers as well, and you want some Gilliam March art, and you want to read some absolute dreck, you can read. I mean, I didn't read. I mean, to be fair, I read like one issue and hated it, so I can't really judge the whole thing. But I wouldn't recommend someone go out and spend $100 on a New 52 Catwoman Omnibus.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I cannot recommend it at all. Batman Golden Age Omnibus Volume 3 new printing, so you know this has been out before, but they're keeping them in print, which is cool. Flinch, the Complete Collection, which is a Vertigo horror anthology series with Bill Willingham, Bob Fingerman, Brian Azzarello, Bruce Jones, and more. So I have to admit, I don't think I've ever heard of Flinch.
Me neither.
Yeah, but this is a 16-issue anthology, so maybe there's some good stuff in there. I suspect there probably is. And we got John Constantine Hellblazer by Paul Jenkins and Sean Phillips. Omnibus. So that's a hefty 1,200 plus pages. So that's cool. There is, I mean, it's mostly all in one chunk. It's mostly 85 to 128, but there's like one issue like from like 51 before then. So I thought, is this going to be one of these annoying ones where it skips a bunch of issues? I think it's actually mostly a contained run. It just has one prelude issue from earlier. So that's fine. So that's cool. And then we got Justice League, the New 52, Book 3. So that's just collecting Johnson's Justice League run in bigger volumes. So it's about 500 pages, has Forever Evil in it. Then we got Lobo back to back. So, cool. And then finally, New Teen Titans Omnibus Volume 2, new printing. So yeah, these have been out before, but this is just them keeping it in print. So that's cool too. So there you go. That is the solicits for January. A couple of one-shots for event tie-ins and your Valentine's special, but other than that, nothing new or exciting. But we know the Vertigo stuff is all coming. As well as the, what did they call it, Next Level, all that stuff starts rolling out. So Vertigo starts in February, and I think the Next Level stuff starts in March. So that gives you a nice idea of when these things are coming. And I wonder, March probably makes sense because KO is probably finishing, maybe not in March, but it's, well, no, I won't, because...
no, because if they're at the Elite 8 by January, right, for 2026... there's still 2 more rounds after that, so it's going to be at least 6, right? You would think?
Okay, I wasn't thinking about the tournament brackets. You're jumping to a logic that I don't think it matters. I'm just thinking about it's probably at least 6 issues, I assume. But to be honest, I don't know if they've ever actually said it's 6 issues. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I don't know. I never remember these things. Detective Comics 1102, Tom Taylor writing with Mikel Janin on the art. So last issue was the creepy, the boat comes to Gotham, Batman goes to investigate, really well done, and the big thing at the end was that there was a virus on this boat that Batman now has, and that's kind of where we pick up this issue, is Mr. Terrific telling him that, yeah, he's got it, he can kind of freely move around for like 36 hours. There's like an incubation period before he becomes contagious. So we actually get this ticking time clock kind of thing where it's like, 32 hours till quarantine, 28 hours till quarantine. We kind of get that throughout the issue a little bit as Batman tries to use what time he's got to try and find who's responsible. And obviously he's like got Mr. Terrific and whoever else try to find a cure or a way to fight it. Not to save himself necessarily, but more just because this thing's supposedly coming to Gotham, and a city without fear is going to tear itself apart for all the obvious reasons. So, so a lot of this issue is the investigation. He has Oracle help him, which leads him to like someone who owns a company with this logo that was on one of the outfits on the boat. Which is King Chemicals, so Tom King's behind it, clearly. That's what they're telling me there. But
that really cracked me up though, just because the people confuse the Toms, right? Especially for a period at DC. So him finally getting his revenge, Tom Taylor. Call it King Chemicals, which not a great logo, which I thought was hilarious. It's the king crowned on like a gas mask, right? So I was like, this is a logo of a bad guy, right? Like, so I thought that was pretty fun.
I mean, he is a bad guy though, so I mean, he's being honest, I guess. He's not false advertising. Truth in marketing for
once. I will say is I loved how the setup for this felt very James Bond, right? With Bruce going in, right? Like he has a mission. He needs to find out who this King guy is, or Lewis King, right? And they're going to a foreign country, right? They're going to Cosnia, and goes to the casino that this guy owns. And again, it just felt very James Bond in a very complimentary way. I know you're not big on Bond, and I'm not that big on Bond anymore either. But I feel like Tom Taylor. I just did it again. Tom Taylor really knew what tropes to hit, and I think that it made for a fun early part of the book.
Yeah, I mean, he knows he's got like an old girlfriend there, so he uses her to get into the casino. And there is a line here that popped me actually, which is Bruce saying that he's not very great at cards. He doesn't remember if two pair beats a straight, and then he just throws out, "And I never know what to do with the Joker." And I just like, Bruce, come on now, you're cracking jokes, right? Just for you. No one else in the room gets why that's funny, but you know why it's funny.
No, yeah, he had to. I got that, and then they ended up playing blackjack as well, which which is accounting, which I think they make a thing about him not being good at numbers despite running a business. That was another fun joke at Bruce's expense.
Yeah, obviously he's just playing dumb effectively and making dumb choices. And it seems like this guy, King, has become this wealthy and built an empire through gambling. And Batman did note out when Oracle said that like it's kind of impossible to build real wealth from just gambling. Like it doesn't really work that way. It doesn't happen. So there's something even fishy about that. Now, obviously, as we get to the end of the issue, it's very clear that this King guy is actually someone else who's changed his appearance and name to get away with whatever he's doing. So this is an alias. Oracle looks into it and says none of the photos of this guy beyond a year ago are real. They're all digital fakes. He's only really existed for the last year. Whoever this is someone who just created an alias about a year ago, and they've covered their tracks, but we can tell that it's changed. And while this is happening, we cut back to Arkham Towers in Gotham, and like some guys working for the bad guy presumably come in and like shoot the guard, and they come to get someone. They're breaking out. Someone mysterious. We don't see who it is. We only see their back, and he says, "Is this a prison break?" And they grab him quite rough and says, "Well, it's a prison, and you might get broken." And it's like, okay, who is this that they're breaking out? My first guess is Scarecrow, is Jonathan Crane, just because we're dealing with fear, the lack of fear, and obviously the lack of fear is the opposite of what Scarecrow does, but I do think thematically it would make sense to involve him. But there's definitely options for this to be a different villain, but my guess would be Scarecrow right now.
I just feel the dimensions, and we know that Janin's a really good artist. The dimensions don't seem right for Scarecrow, right? Because Scarecrow is built very lanky every time we see him drawn. And this seems like a very normal.
Yeah, but like he's like extra lanky because of the outfit. I feel like this looks like a normal lanky man to me, if that makes sense. This is like
maybe.
Yeah.
I do like that they keep it a mystery because my immediate thought was Scarecrow, but I also thought like, well, then why not give us hints, right? Like it's meant to be a surprise right? And us automatically jumping to Scarecrow. No, maybe that's part of it, but yeah, I the fact that we don't see who this is, I thought was a curious choice.
It's interesting.
I thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's interesting because the main villain by the end is we're pretty sure is actually someone else that we'll know once they reveal who he really is. And maybe whoever this is would give it away as well, which is why they're keeping this, very secretive. But it also, this does not suggest that King wants this guy. He's not sent goons to get him because he likes him and he wants to break him out. It feels like he's getting him to be taken either because he needs him or because he wants to rub what he's doing in his face. Or, it doesn't feel like, I'm doing this out of friendship. It feels like, no, go get that scumbag. Like, I want him here to see this so I can gloat or whatever it is. So, it suggests an attitude and a relationship before we even know who either of them are, which is interesting. So, curious to see. So there's more Bruce talking to this King guy and talking about, all these projects. And King gets a call and skedaddles somewhere, but Batman follows in the Batjet to a secret, what he thinks is going to be a lab, right? He's talking to Oracle the whole way there. And when they get there, he's like, this isn't a lab. It looks like, I don't even know what it looks like, to be honest. Like a military base with maybe a submarine
Yeah, it definitely looks like a foundry of some kind, like a big factory.
Yeah.
With all of the catwalks and the tubeways and all that type of stuff. There's like a steel girder across the top and then like a crane in the middle. So yeah, it's definitely a facility more than a lab, right?
Yeah. And it looks like there's either, if they're not big missiles, there's definitely something that looks like torpedoes or something. Also, Batman picks up a clipboard and the paper says Star Labs on it. Now, I'm not saying that this is Star Labs. Pardon me, but perhaps this company's stolen stuff from Star Labs and is using their tech for something, or that kind of thing.
Sure.
But basically, they're aware quite quickly that Batman's there, and he's like, "All right, like we have to self-detonate so Batman can't find any evidence." So Batman ends up having to try and save some workers that are in there who are being stranded behind. So very quickly we get into an action scene where Batman's getting buried under rubble, and that really weakens him. So when King jumps out and he puts his mask on and he says, "I am the Lion," and again, like, this still feels like an alias to me because like the Lion doesn't mean a whole lot. Does it mean something to you?
So it's because he doesn't have fear, right? So like a lion heart, someone that's brave, someone without fear. And that's what I'm getting at with him.
Yeah, but I meant in terms of like, does this mean anything to you as like connecting to who it really is?
No. No,
yeah, that's what I thought. That's
no, definitely it feels like a new character here. So
yeah. Well, I don't think it is though. Or at the very least, I think he's connected to someone we already know. And that's why the whole alias thing's happening. Maybe this is the son of whoever he got from Arkham. Maybe this is like someone related to a villain.
Yeah, could be, because he said that he was from Toronto, but then we find out that he tells Bruce that he's also from Gotham, which does not go with the intel, right? And then everything about this Lewis King guy is fabricated in the last couple months, from what Oracle says.
He's the son of the Condiment King. They're both kings. No? Okay, I'm joking.
Both,
I'm joking, everyone.
And
don't.
The fear, and the original fear is that of a dry burger, right? You gotta put condiments on that thing.
That said, though, a dry burger is not as scary as a burger with mayo on it. That's even scarier.
Come on now. Mayo's fine.
Mayo's disgusting.
No, mayo's fine.
Mayo is fucking revolting, and I will not stand for it.
This is your mayo thing, and then your hang up on peanut butter and jelly. Those are the two things.
Peanut butter and jelly separately, perfectly fine. They just don't belong together.
Fantastic. It makes for a great lunch.
But mayo is disgusting in any form, in any capacity, in any way.
Your peanut butter and jelly one's definitely unique, I feel, to you. I've never heard anybody really say that. You're not the first person I know that doesn't like mayo on like anything.
Well, I don't think peanut butter and jelly is specific to me. I think, like, because it's a very American thing, I think you'll find that most people in countries that don't normally have that might not like the combination of it. Now, some will try it and go, "Oh, that's interesting," but some will not.
So I definitely couldn't interest you in a peanut butter and jelly burger.
Not even a chance.
It's so good.
I don't even like the idea.
There's a place out here.
I don't like the idea of either of those things on a burger in general, never mind together.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It ends up working out really well, but yeah, no mayo on that. Peanut butter. We're good to go. So how do you eat your burger? Do you just straight up with the mustard and ketchup, or do you eat it dry?
Mustard and ketchup's fine. That's it. Is if there's cheese on there, the cheese will do the cheese does the work.
Yeah.
The cheese gives you the flavor and the texture.
Yeah.
But ketchup and mustard's fine. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Some places might throw barbecue sauce on a burger. It's not a common thing, but it happens.
When you came out to the States, you did eat it In-N-Out, right?
I did.
Yes, and you were, their spread, which is a special burger sauce. You were fine with that.
I don't know if I had burger sauce in whatever I had.
It comes standard on their burgers. So you just got a regular.
I don't think burgers need a sauce. Unless you don't have cheese. If you're lactose and can't have cheese, I get why you need a sauce. If you have cheese, I don't think you need a sauce on a burger. I just don't think you need it.
I think this is just the difference in our cultures. Whereas we extra everything here in the States, and you guys are like, we'll fry everything, but it doesn't need a sauce.
It doesn't. All you're doing is putting more conflicting flavors in it. You're taking away of the purity of the base flavors.
It's adding a complexity to the meal. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Look, man, you've never had a street hot dog, have you?
No.
That's it. It's got everything on there, man. There's roasted vegetables, there's ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. It's wrapped in bacon. Oh man, it is heavenly.
Sounds disgusting.
I feel like there'd be too much. I feel like for you, there's just too much going on there, and you're like, no, I want a hot dog that tastes like a hot dog.
Yeah, that is too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways, Batman and Cosnia. There's some detonations going off, right?
And
the facility starts to fall.
Yeah, Batman fights King, but he's too weak from all the rubble landing on him. That he knows he's losing. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, and plus we have the countdown to him having to be in quarantine. King makes it clear that he knows that Batman's infected. He talks about his time running out. So Batman notes that, but he basically has to evacuate and run away. So he gets the Batplane to come in and put down like a rope or whatever, and he gets carried out of there. Yeah.
It's a safety harness, right? So like when they have to do a rescue,
yes,
that's what they lock you in. They carry you around, which I did like. I like that little artist piece here from Janin. That's not just a rope; it's an actual thing.
I just couldn't think of the word. All right, what did you want from me?
I got you. I got you.
So as he's flying away, Oracle's talking to Batman, but Batman's passing out from the pain and the virus. So he's trying to be stubborn, but he's actually just physically given up. So it sort of ends with like a black screen with Oracle's bubble just saying Batman ? So no, it's a good issue. I mean, I think the only thing going against this issue, honestly, because it's fun, it's well paced, the countdown, this idea that he's only got so many hours to try and investigate before he has to be in quarantine, or at least get a containment suit, as some of the solicits imply, is a nice sort of ticking time bomb element to it. It makes it feel like he's desperate and trying to solve things. You've got some fun elements to it. But the one thing going against it is that the last issue was so freaking good and creepy and had such good atmosphere that this almost cannot measure up to it. But it's still very good. It was a really good second part to the arc, and the mystery of who the Arkham inmate was that was being taken is also quite tantalizing. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, and I also enjoyed the Bond element to it, of him going to the casino, playing blackjack, playing dumb a little bit, like he doesn't understand the game, to try to find out who this Lewis King is. So the ending with it going out and calling it The Courage That Kills, I think is also a great title for this, because it's definitely the fact that there's this ticking time bomb. And he knows about, when the virus locks in, how bad it could be for Batman to succumb to it. It's making him a little bit more haphazard, right? So we're seeing kind of a sloppier Batman here. And so, again, Tom Taylor's very good at all this.
Yeah, had a good time. Yanin's art is very good throughout. Obviously, again, it doesn't have the creepy setting in the last issue for him to show off some like different skills. But yeah, some of the stuff, just the simple page where Batman's flying out to this other country the first time he's like going there, and he's on the call to Oracle. Just the panels having this kind of angle to them as you're going down the page just makes it feel like you're moving. So it gives you the feeling of him traveling. Simple stuff like that, just really good. And obviously, I enjoy his line work and his faces. I think that scene where they're at the blackjack table and it's like doing the close-ups of Bruce, the lady, and then King. I think those moments all look good because there's kind of this like sly, like, oh, we've all got ulterior motives, but we're all pretending to be friendly kind of thing going on. And the art adds to that because you can sort of tell they're putting on these like suave facades, these characters that they're portraying in the scene. So. Yeah, good stuff. All right, what are you giving Detective Comics?
Well, it's 8.5.
Yeah, I think I'll just go with a straight 8. I think, but yeah, very good. Good time. Looking forward to where the arc goes. So, next up we have Superman 31, Legacy number 874. Joshua Williamson writing with Eddie Barrows on the art. And I was thinking that it's been a little while since we've seen Eddie Barrows on something at DC. So I was pleased to see the art. I like his stuff quite a bit. He does make Superman look a little bit mean on that first page, but the shading and the overall kind of like image presentation that he has to his art, I really like. So I'm pretty into that. So it starts off kind of almost recapping a little bit of the time trapper, like, saying what's going to happen to the characters, and Superman not really being convinced and not really knowing what to do. So most of this issue takes place before KO. It's basically him, we got like a tease in like the KO issue 1 of him spending a day with the family. We see a little bit more of that, but we see a bit more before and after that as well, where he goes to the fortress to ask for help, talks to the hologram of Jor-El and says, hey, can you tell me anything about Krypton's knowledge of Darkseid or an Omega champion, anything like that? And Jor-El says, though there's no knowledge of that, there's no records of that in the history. Lots of things were banned to be kept as records, so I have no knowledge of any of this. And this is where I was like, oh, somehow this is how we're going to get to that stuff with Lara in her past. I didn't know how it was going to come up. Obviously, we get to it later in the issue, but I thought that was like a nice little thing there. But Jor-El does say that if he had the ability to like build bigger ships, to build more ships, if he had the power and the resources to do it, he would have saved everyone. And that's kind of the inspiration that Superman has to go off and like go through with the plan. All right, we're going to save everyone. So we see him like take some of the steps to help with that, going back to LexCorp, which actually I laughed a lot when Superman showed up and Parasite's like lying there, kind of still recovering from his fight with Doomsday or whatever. And he puts a thumbs up and just says, Superman, good to see you, buddy. I'd offer a high five, but you know.
Yep. And just the way the Barrows draws the smile, like it's a little bit creepy because of all the sharp teeth, but Rudy's genuinely happy.
Oh, it's goofy.
Right? Like it's guy that is Parasite.
Yeah, it's goofy, and you can tell it's endearing, even though it's like coming from like a monstrous looking dude with big teeth.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Oh, God, it's so funny. And even him, as he's laying on the table talking to Mercy, the page before, he said, that monster's power was tasty. I haven't felt this full ever. So like a content Parasite is a character that we haven't seen quite before. So I thought that was fun.
Yeah, and to be fair, I do think like Superman going to LexCorp, which was Supercorp, to kind of finally maybe use those resources is a nice way to pay off what's been going on in this book, even though I don't think the book's been always that great, into what's going on in the event. So Mercy's like, hey, yeah, we've got this super ship, which we're developing. It uses Brainiac technology to shrink cities down so we can take a bunch of cities. This could probably take a whole country. And then Superman turns and says, build 7 more. We need 8 of them. And she's like, Mercy freaks out because she's like, wait, what's going on? Like, what's happening to the world that you think we need 8 of these ships? So, I like that. It's basically just filling in all these little bits for the most part, where Superman tells Lois about what's going on, and Supergirl's also there. And they have a day with the Kents, they go to the park, all the stuff. Lois kisses him goodbye and says, please come back to me. And the art here is very good. Eddie Barrows does the whole thing where the page with most of the conversations and, traditional panels, it's in boxes, there's gutters, But the next page, when they actually kiss, the gutters all go away, and it's filling the page, and then they're overlapping, where there's no panel lines, it's just the flying Superman overlaps with the kissing of Lois, and then there's a little box at the bottom with the next bit. However, when they all leave in the ships, and again, this is all tying really nicely into what's going on in KO, it's filling in some of those blank spots, is Lois decides to fly her ship, because she's one of the pilots, apparently. Maybe they could have set that up earlier, actually. That kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah.
A little bit of context would have been nice.
Yeah, but she actually chooses to fly to the fortress, and she goes to speak to Jor-El herself. And actually, this is, like, to me, this is the idea of the whole issue that I think is the best thing in it, is that Lois, when she hears what Superman says about him asking for these answers and not getting them, Lois is like, I'm going to go interview this goddamn hologram. I'm Lois Lane. I'm going to get to the bottom of this because I think there's more to discover. And she's like, okay, well, if you like don't have these answers, first of all, she checks that that's true, but if you don't have these answers, if you're telling me that knowledge of certain things was made illegal, then do you at least have a list of the things you're not allowed to keep track of? Like, is there a list of what was illegal? Because that at least might point in some certain directions. And basically, he just keeps saying, I have no knowledge, I have no knowledge, and these panels are intercutting with like Superman's first fight down at the core with the monsters. And then Lois puts her heads down, and then you can just see like one bubble comes in saying, you love my son, and she looks up, and it's Lara's hologram that's now playing. And Lara says that her memories were put into this hologram, and she does have something to say. And this is what ties into that stuff from the KO issue 1, or that was the special before KO, I think, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
The special, yep.
But when Lara found the big Omega symbol and these remnants of like building Doomsday, and says that Doomsday was meant to be the Alpha, so that eventually one day there would be an Omega to take on this great evil. So I really liked this entire sequence of Lois making this choice to come and be a reporter and investigate like what Jor-El was saying, and then that tying back into what was set up in that special, I thought was a really neat touch. I think if you haven't read that special, if you hadn't read that and you were just reading Superman, I don't think this would have anywhere near the same amount of like impact. No. But I think because if you read that special, it was set up so well that this had a nice payoff to it. So
yeah,
really good stuff.
I also like when she sits down to talk to Jor-El, she brings in their past, right? Not the hologram's past, but her past with Jor-El, and says, you don't know this, but you and I spent a little time together in space. You had a little adventure, you, me, and John. And you know what I learned? You can't be trusted, you or the simulation. So I really like that, and that's where the reporter Lois kicks in. So I'm here to interview you, and then those questions, right? It almost kicks in the Lara aspect of things, and it's because of this love for Superman, for Clark, that she's trying to figure all this out, is what overrides it. So
yeah, I like
her tenacity as a reporter and love for her husband is what is the key here, and I love that. Yeah,
and I liked her pointing out that she's never really spoken to Lara before, that this is kind of new. Like, she's interacted with Jor-El because we had the whole Mr. Oz things, and it's interesting that they're still keeping that in continuity. None of that's went away. She's referencing those events. That's cool. Anyway, so the big cliffhanger at the end of the issue is that Superboy Prime comes crashing into the fortress. The Darkseid Legion have fought him back to the present, and he comes crashing in, and they're doing a whole thing here where, let me just get this, Sunboy? Is that the name of this Legion there? Okay, good to know. So he's all flamed up. He's kind of like Ghost Rider, to be honest. That's what made me think of.
Yeah.
And he's all brimming and all the rest of it. He's crashed in as well. He's chasing Superboy Prime. And then Superboy Prime's like, you're forgetting something. And he's like, what? The last page reveal, dum-dum. And then the last page reveal is that because he's come in and like just to place up with sun energy, that this has somehow brought Lois's Superwoman powers back. So at least for the tie-in arc to KO, Lois is Superwoman again, which I don't feel particularly like one way or the other about. I do like the tease of like him being like, oh, the last page reveal's about to come though, like hope's about to happen. I think it's very clear though that this issue sets up the idea that Superman during KO is not going to be about Superman, right? Obviously he's in this one, but he leaves, he's in KO. This is going to be about Lois and maybe Superboy Prime and some of the other characters who are around that sort of vicinity and what they're up to with Earth during that time. That's what it feels like it's going to be, based on this ending, to me anyway.
Yeah, For sure. Well, and the fact that Superboy Prime crashes in at the end, I really like that too.
Mm.
You know, and his whole meta analysis of the last page reveal, which I thought was real funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, her getting juiced up with the Sunboy powers too. Wasn't expecting that. Wasn't expecting Superwoman to come back around. So, got me too.
Very quickly,
yeah,
might I add. She's not been gone that long, which is maybe the critique I would bring in here.
The old Williamson special. But yeah, her sitting down to talk to Jor-El, I thought that was the heart of this issue.
Yeah, no,
it was interview.
It was the best idea, and then that pivot into Lara and that time back into what they set up in the special was absolutely the main part of this issue that was great. I mean, the stuff with Superman saying all this stuff to Lois and saying goodbye and, going to Mercy, I thought was good, sort of like, oh, this is kind of like establishing some of the world right now, and that's fun mechanical stuff. But all the stuff with the Fortress was the real heart of it. So,
yep.
Very good. And, just to reiterate as well, I do like Eddie Barrows quite a bit. I think he's he's a notch below hitting like one of those like amazing artists where like everything he does is like a spectacular, but he's in this really comfortable position where I think there's just enough moodiness to his art that I really like every time he's on like a regular book, every time he's on an ongoing book, I really like his stuff. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, like you said, the moodiness, and that's exactly what it is, because even in those scenes in the Fortress where everything is so like stark and white, what he does with the shadows, it really makes like the Jor-El and Lara holograms pop, right? So it feels like they have some like texture to them, and they're not just these floating, ghosts that sometimes you see them as. So that really works out, especially with his art.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes sense that it's a bit moodier because like the world's in a pretty rough place right now, so stakes are higher. We can, we don't want fun, bright, like cartoony art for this. We want like, we want serious business. So it makes sense. All right, what are you giving Superman issue 31?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
You know what? I actually think I'm also going to give it an 8. It's it's just I feel like Williamson's Superman always seems to benefit when it's not just him on his own, when it's something that has to tie into other things, and he's I don't know, it seems to work better. And at the very least, this did feel like it was paying off a couple things in the run, like Superman getting back to LexCorp to say, hey, you've got resources, I know all about them, let's use some of them to help with this disaster, this event that's happening. And then the paying off of the special stuff. I think there's some nice stuff in here that felt like it was rewarding me for knowing about what's been going on, even if that entire journey's not been always that great, and there's definitely been disappointing elements to it. So, there's good and bad, and I think this issue was more good than the bad, as far as Williamson's concerned. So, yeah, 8 out of 10. Absolute Wonder Woman issue 13, Kelly Thompson writing with Matías Bergara on the art. A name that I did not recognize, I have to say.
No.
So I didn't know what to expect from the art here. Which is not to say that I was, upset or disappointed. I thought it was pretty solid art. It feels like it's not quite like Sherman, but it feels like it's trying to keep within a thematic style that feels like it doesn't betray what the book's supposed to be like.
Yeah, like there's these heavy lines, like almost like the faces look very similar to Sherman's, but the layouts, the action, and everything, they're all Bergara's, right? So you can definitely see that he took some inspiration from the Sherman designs, but has done his own thing, which I will always prefer than someone trying to copy and not do it as well. So, but yeah, I'll say, and this is just, my own thing, a little disappointed we didn't get a follow-up on Zatanna, right? I didn't realize we were doing a break until we get to that.
No, I wasn't expecting this issue, because that was like that was such a little tease at the end of the issue. Like clearly the main thing we were going to follow up on was like Diana's like connection to Themyscira, and that's exactly what this starts with. It's Barbara Ann sitting down with her, and here's like the paintings, here's all the history we know about this potential paradise island, blah blah blah. And that's what they get into. And we know Zatanna's coming. Like she's planted that seed. We'll get that a little bit later.
I was just like, oh, not even a little hint of stuff. And
you're like a young child, Matt. You see the ice cream, you want the ice cream now, you want the treat. Matty wants his treat.
Absolutely. That's how you keep me quiet. Right? But then the rest of the stuff that comes in this issue is just fantastic. It's Kelly Thompson doing Kelly Thompson stuff.
Yeah.
And like Barbara Ann explaining the lore of the Themyscira to us as well as Diana, right? Because it's still kind of new to her.
Yeah.
Diana has a vague notion of the concept, but her going through all these different things,
I think what I liked about this is that they talk about the fact that Cersei was could not say Amazon. However, she wasn't banned from saying Themyscira or other related words. And they kind of talk about why she still didn't say those things. Like, Diana talks about how she would try and teach me the IDs of this place and try and teach me the IDs of the Amazons without ever actually saying them. And she's like, hey, no, the gods are listening in, and they know if so even though technically these other words aren't banned, they're smart enough to know that, yeah, she's clearly trying to get around the rules. So it's it feels like Cersei was doing a hell of a balancing act of trying to teach her the things she needs to know without ever actually bringing them up. So I like that. But the action of this issue is that some mysterious force, a villain if you want to call it that, but it seems like electrical energy is just first of all it's messing up Nevada and Reno, which is, I guess, Las Vegas 2 basically in my head.
I mean, for a while it was called the biggest little city in the world, right? It's up there in the north section of it by Tahoe. So yeah, it's northern Nevada. It's a bit different, but yes.
It's Las Vegas 2. It's just, if you can't go to Vegas, you go to Reno as your backup. So Diana, obviously, where she's out there, she's got her battle armor on, her helmet, and all the rest of it, and it's this electrical energy that she tries to fight her. She tries to be calm and talk to it and try and reason with it because she's Diana. But the big thing though is that she notices that she's getting angry, her temper's starting to come in, and she's noticing, she's like, oh, I wouldn't normally act this way, I wouldn't normally say this, or I wouldn't normally just instantly punch first and ask questions later, and basically acknowledges that something's affecting how she feels right now. And she kind of loses, the electrical energy flies away after it kind of knocks her down, and she gets up and she can't find it. So we actually have it's almost a recurring joke actually in this issue, where she goes back to the heron and she talks to Steve for a little bit, but then once she's getting down to business with Barbara Ann again, they're talking about the Amazons for a little bit again. Another news report comes on the TV and says, hey, this electrical energy is tearing up Greece or something now, and then says, I need to go back out. And then after the second time, we start getting a montage effectively of going just panel to panel. Here she is in Australia, here she is in whatever country, next. Well,
and it felt like every time she was learning about the Amazons, this would pop up, right? So again, it's almost like a joke of the gods that she's this close and she keeps getting pulled away, which I really liked.
Yeah, one of these bits here when Barbara Ann's saying, "Oh, what do we know of Amazons?" And she's like, "It's all kind of myth and theory and whatnot." But because they found remnants of their stuff, like Amazon weapons and armor, but never found any remnants of their bodies or skulls or anything like that. There's different theories, and she's like, "Well, basically they think either they never left their dead behind, or maybe they couldn't be killed, or the immortal." And I love the art choice here. As she's hearing this, Diana's sipping a tea or whatever, but it's a close-up of just her face and her eyes are looking over as she's hearing this, and it begs the question, are you immortal? And she's like, I don't actually know if I'm immortal. I do not know the answer to that question. So I like the weight that question has of oh shit, that's a big deal if she is. So
well, and it's the way it happens with the page turn with that panel you just described, and then you turn the page and it's Etta and Barbara Ann and Etta's sister, and it's the Etta sitting there going, wait, were they immortal? And maybe. And they asked Diana, and I love the flow there. And again, that's that interpersonal stuff that Kelly Thompson does so well.
I like the framing of that panel as well, because Etta's in the foreground, kind of right in your face, and the others are all in the background. I just think it's a really nice framing. Because it gives you the impression that Etta wasn't really paying attention, but she heard that part, so now she wants to get involved in the conversation. She's like, I was reading my own book, but what's this about being immortal? Tell me more.
Wait, you're immortal? Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. So yeah, the next electrical things off in Uruguay, and Diana goes to help with that. She helps some firemen. This lighthouse is on fire, but the electrical spark comes flying out once again, whips her around a little bit, and it flies off out of space. A little girl points out where it went because once again it evades her, and Diana gets mad and like slams her fists into the beach. And she's like, this is not like me. And that's when we get the montage page where she's like coming back and she's tired, but she hears another report. And then it's like, okay, now she's in the Dominican Republic. Now she's in Mexico. Now she's in Hawaii. And it's just go here, here, here. And the next page, she like just slouches onto a chair back at the Heron. She's clearly just exhausted from chasing this thing around. This was a really good issue in the sense of like being a really good, not a one and done because it's a two-parter, but this idea that it built like a little narrative around just the way this thing's evading her, so it became kind of fun watching her get frustrated that she was unable to catch it. So I really like that.
Yeah.
Well,
stuff. Then she also points out like it's bringing out the worst in her, right? Her frustrations, her anger, all the stuff that she had been trained because, right, she needed to be this perfect person because being raised in hell and whatnot. Yeah, right? It's bringing out those bad aspects.
Yeah, and then it's actually just after this bit where the others figure out that all the places it's going are where all these like Amazon artifacts have been found, and that can't be a coincidence. So you know, as you know, Diana looks at the map. They're looking around. She's trying to figure out where it's going next, based on the other things that have been found in all these like history books. So she's able to predict that it's going to be in Greece. That's where it kind of ends up towards the end of the issue. And she tries to talk to it again. There's a bit of a fight. But the ultimate realization that leads to the cliffhanger is that she basically realizes that this thing, this energy that's manifested, that's causing this chaos, is a symptom of her being in the world and doing stuff. She basically says at the end, this destructive creature is here because of me. It's the price the world is paying for my being here. So I'm curious to see how they elaborate on that next issue. I think it's interesting that's adding the skill, and it kind of takes form. It almost looks like an evil version of her with her armor on in the last page. You know, the helmet's kind of similar and all that.
Yeah, like it kind of like an inverse of her.
Yeah. In fact, the lightning energy almost looks like a lasso on that last page. That's obviously very intentional. So that's good. That's a good bit of job in the art.
And then she also had brought up earlier about how it was Apollo that banned the word Amazon, and it was almost like a trap, right? To only ban that word and nothing else around it. And yet they end up here in Delphi in Greece, which is a site that was revered to Apollo, right? So Diana starts putting that together as well. Like, you know, she says, you know, I'd say it's a blessing from the gods, except the malevolent force that drew me here is bent on destroying everything it touches. So maybe not a blessing. So it feels like, again, there's these things bigger than her that are at play here.
I mean, I think
like
the implication at the end is that the curse on her from the gods is what's created this thing. It's like the counterbalance to what she's doing. But I guess we'll see how that plays out next issue. I mean, I think the last time we got a two-parter in between two arcs is kind of like a not a fill-in per se, because it still felt like part of the story. And this especially still feels like heavily a part of the story because it's still her learning about Themyscira. But I like this one a bit more actually than the last time, because the last time was when she went down to hell and all that, and we did all the stuff. But I think this is still really keeping my interest in what's going on in the overall story. So yeah, obviously Sherman's great, and I'll be glad when Sherman's back on the art. But I wasn't missing him that much here. He's as good as his layouts are. This still felt like such a good story, and the art was still fitting it very appropriately that I never found myself being that sad about it.
Yeah, no, and also the art, and this is just me. It also Bergara's art reminds me of Bilquis Evely, who we all know him.
I could see that a little bit, yeah.
And so it also felt very familiar to Wonder Woman. You know, so we have the Hayden Sherman kind of designs of it all, and then there's some Evely added in there, but then, you know, a lot of the, like you said on the panel with Etta and them, the way that these are framed, it adds a whole other texture and layer. And and so I went from being like, oh, no Sherman art to, well, Bergara is someone I got to keep my eye on now, because this art was really good. Yeah.
All right, what you give an absolute Wonder Woman 13?
I'm gonna give this a 9.
Oh, that's a very 50. I think I'm going to be a little bit more conservative and say 8.5, but yeah, very good. Liked it a lot. I mean, this book's continued to be something we look forward to every month, so good stuff. Green Lantern issue 28, legacy number 595, Jeremy Adams and V. Kenneth Marion on the art. Which I'll get the disappointment out of the way first of all, is that V. Kenneth Marion is just kind of okay at best for me art wise. And the downgrade from Zermanico is immediate, it is swift, and the faces really, like, show me that. You know, the faces really stick out to me that we're on a different artist. And, you know, like, overall, the layouts are fine, and that kind of, you know, the expressions are mostly okay. I just don't really like kind of the overly pointy lips that are going up and down. Like if you look at that second page with Jo, and she's got like one side of her lip like pointing up the way, and then the bottom lip's pointing down the way on the other side. It's almost a Sylvester Stallone mouth for some reason.
Yeah.
Yo, Adrian. Like that's what I'm seeing when I look at that. But that said, though, this is obviously after we've had the crossover, and we're camming things down into the next part of whatever we're doing with Green Lantern. And I like that the supporting cast is still here. We're still doing some stuff with Kyle and Odyssey and Superboy. The start of the book, though, is Guy with Jo, and they're looking for the Book of Oa, back where all the Dark Star or Starbreaker castles were. And they find the Book of Oa, and Guy's excited because, there's some parts that were hard to like see or translate because they were in different spectrums, but the Starbreakers were able to do it. So he's nerding out. Jo's calling him a nerd. He's saying he's not a nerd. He's a history buff. And then she's like, no, you're a nerd. And
and again, let me say my love of Guy Gardner shows through again, because I've been part of this conversation. I was like, I'm not a history nerd. I'm a history buff. No, you're a nerd. You're look how you're acting right now. And I was like, God damn it, Guy Gardner, pointing the mirror again.
Yep. Oh, you are a nerd, man. No mistake. You let's not question that. You've got a DC Comics podcast for almost 500 episodes. There's no way you're not a nerd.
Yes. Oh no, but I was talking to them like specific things. Right?
Sure.
But here having Guy be this guy who's, you know, he's the most meat-headed Lantern. Him loving history too is just, it's also very, very PE teacher of him, which Guy has those vibes. So but yeah, this is where I think Marion's art, you're talking about it. I feel like this is where I liked it the best until we get to the close-ups. I feel like the stuff with all of the ruins and then some of the expressions on Guy and Jo, this is where I feel it's the strongest. You know, but I think it just comes down to taste at the end of the day, because I don't say it's bad by any means. But yeah, I really love this front part more than the back half.
Yeah, well, the big reveal here, though, is that this new information is just a full page with giant letters saying Hal Jordan in the Book of Oa. And like, oh shit, that shouldn't be there. What's going on? So cut to Hal Jordan. And this is, to be fair, add to your point, it was Hal's face on this page. It made me go, oh, I'm not as into this art.
Yep.
So, you know, take that for what you will. To be fair, I do think the alien dude that he's grabbing, the prisoner, I think he looks quite good, but he's like a wolf
Fox
or fox
guy.
man, yeah. So very different. So Hal's just flying this guy around Coast City, and then he gets the call to come to Oa because they have to like ask him about this book stuff. So they go do that. We see that basically our B team of Kyle, Odyssey, and Connor are trying to test Kyle's powers because he can turn into a White Lantern, but after he like does his White Lantern blast, which sounds kind of dirty now that I'm saying it out loud, he like loses his powers for a little bit and he can't recharge for a while, so they're testing how long that's going to be. And I really enjoyed this stuff because everything here with Odyssey calling them, saying this is Zargnod, and like, what's Zargnod? I think she means it's stupid, and he's like, yeah, this is totally Zargnod. He's like, no, what's the opposite of Zargnod? It's this. And then after it happens, he's like, oh, I'm such a Zargnod. Like, I thought that banter back and forth was quite funny. And then also the idea that after it happens and we get, you know, Kyle going White Lantern and doing the big blast, and that intercedes with Hal coming in because Hal catches Connor flying through the air because he gets sent flying, is you just have Odyssey in the background counting, and she's going 1 Thanagarian, 2 Thanagarian, 3 Thanagarian. How long does it take until Kyle can recharge? And I'm like, you're doing this test and didn't think a stopwatch would be a good idea to bring with you? So I don't know. I liked all this. I thought this was fun, like side character banter stuff.
I love that too. The banter between Kyle and Connor too, and where he's just like, what if I vaporize you in the process? And he's like, dude, I'm Superboy. I'm betting I barely feel it. Too, when he does get hit and he gets knocked almost into space, right? And it's just,
Well, actually, my favorite
overestimating his stuff as well.
My favorite part of that though is when he says, "I'm Superboy. I'm probably barely going to feel it." That's when Odyssey turns and says, "You know what? I changed my mind. Do it." Like she was trying to talk them out of it, thinking it was stupid up until that point. But as soon as Connor got arrogant and like cocky, she's like, "All right, you know what? Actually, changed my mind. Blast him."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was fun stuff.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. So Hal runs into Jess and the Guardian, and they go to see Guy, and they talk about the book. And Hal, when he sees this page of the book, he like reacts like he's been beamed full of knowledge, although he doesn't remember it afterwards. But there is like one little moment where he just turns and says, "None of it is what we thought." And this like paths off. They're taking him to like med bay because he's kind of sick after that until he wakes up. And so Jess is here being all boss lady, as Guy calls her. And we follow the Guardian, who's currently the Yellow Lantern Guardian, because obviously from the last arc they've all got different colors.
Yeah.
He goes to the others and says, "Oh, all that stuff like we didn't know because we hid it from ourselves in the past. Like Hal Jordan knows it deep down. We have to like figure out the rest of our knowledge because they've had some of it back when Krona's glove like activated, but they don't have all of it yet. So we're teasing whatever this next big thing we're doing in the Green Lantern mythos is that some secrets from the formation of it all is going to change things again, which is pretty well written here. It is fun. I will say, I feel like every second arc we're revealing more about the creation of the Green Lanterns and what the Guardians did back in the day. We do kind of repeat that a lot in Green Lantern, so I'll critique it for that, for sure.
It's just that the Guardians are super shifty, and that's what we just have to come to terms with, that we're always going to find out the skeletons they buried.
Yeah. I will say, though, I do love that Krona is in this weird half-melted Hal Jordan body. I think he looks kind of cool. I'm into it. He does.
Well, I feel like this is Hal's cyborg Superman, right? So Krona Hal is kind of the same kind of vibe. Where he's half-melted. He has the big, the big gauntlet on his hand, Yeah, so, it's cool.
But the half melted though is like more flesh melted, so he's got like muscles showing and like skins dripping down, and it's just very horror movie. I kind of like it. I like that it's implying something big for Hal Jordan, as is his name in the book, obviously implying something big. But I love that it didn't work, so now we get this really interestingly distinct looking villain. So I don't know, I'm into it. You get a page of him here, and that's all fine. So yeah, Hal flies back to Earth. And he basically pulls Carol out of a Justice League meeting, and they're all happy to see each other. They get with the smoochies, but then he has like a vision of the future, teasing what's to come, and he sees melted Hal, Krona, whatever we're going to call him. I guess we'll just call him Krona, but like, he sees that. He sees the Guardians fighting. Well, it looks like just Hal, honestly. We see like the different lantern colors like forming like a star alignment in space.
Yeah,
and we see a big
constellation.
Yeah, we see a big tower somewhere. So it's teasing whatever we're doing next, and all of it is quite exciting. But at the end of the issue is Hal's going off because he hears that there's a distress call from Star City, and Carol says, "Oh, you're not going to be back in time for dinner. I know who you end up hanging out with when you go to Star City." So it says next time, hard traveling heroes, and Carol's a little bit worried about Hal and what he's going through, because he's clearly having these like episodes now because of whatever happened with the book. So yeah. I mean, I think this was a solid first part of a new arc. Art being a little not to my taste to the side, but I think the thing for me is that Jeremy Adams, I enjoy his run. I'm going to have a good time, but there is this consistent thing of the arcs always starting stronger than the end. He always seems to rush the finishes a little bit. Not quite like Williamson, where Williamson just seems to rush things constantly all over the place. It's more just like the big fight at the end always feels a little bit anticlimactic. But I'm digging the teasing that he's doing. I like this villain, this version of Krona. I love that it's been kind of intermingled with the last arc, so it doesn't just feel new and out of nowhere. It feels like, oh no, we've been kind of building to this a little bit. And that his relationship with Carol still matters. This B squad of characters isn't going anywhere. We're still doing stuff with Kyle and Odyssey and Connor. So yeah, decent time. I had fun.
Yeah. Well, I also want to add to that the now that the Guardians are all color coded too, right? So it definitely makes all the energy there. It seems like there's a unifying force, and then like the they all act as they're supposed to, right? So like the red one, reacts angrily to the Corona stuff, and then it's the fear guardian that's pointing stuff out. And I also like that he has like a big old bushy mustache. So kind of like, he's got a mustache like Sinestro, so we could tie that together, you know. And then
Very
that panel of
different
them,
kind of mustache, Matt. Come on, Sinestro's got a little thin thing,
Yeah, but still, it's easy to recognize him outside just the color. But it does feel like when we get to that panel of the Guardians surrounding Hal, it doesn't necessarily seem like they're attacking him, right? It almost seems like to me, it looks like they're powering him up for something.
Oh, maybe. I mean, it looks like they're blasting him with something, but yeah, you could read that as they're juicing him a little bit.
Yeah, so they're all surrounded him and stuff. So, yeah, I like that it's playing with that kind of visiony thing here, and what Marion does, where the panels are a little bit like oblong, and they're not exactly straight angles. There's a bit of a curve and stuff to them. So, but yeah, it's a good solid start to the next arc.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. I was just really glad the supporting cast hasn't been forgotten about, because especially the team of like Kyle and Odyssey and that, it felt like they were put together specifically for the last like crossover.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that they're sticking around in some capacity. So cool.
Yeah.
All right, what are you giving Green Lantern?
I'm gonna give this a straight 7.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I would maybe bump it up a little bit, but the art, not quite being for me, probably keeps it at the 7, I think. So yeah, it's a double 7 then. Cool. The Flash, issue 26, legacy number 826. Christopher Cantwell and Mark Waid writing, with Vasco Georgiev on the art. Did my best with that. So so it's been a little while since we read Flash. We read the first chunk of Cy Spurrier's run, but ultimately didn't want to keep up with it, and we're back because a new team's on it. It's also tying into DCKO. Unfortunately, this does mean we have to look at this horrible outfit.
Yeah,
that's the one downside here.
Hopefully, Impulse Point fixes the Wally outfit. Give me back the straight red with the lightning belt. It's classic for a reason. But yeah, and look, if Mark Waid's writing Flash, I'm always going to tune in. Like that's where I'm at. Mark Waid. I mean, it might have been the very first comic I ever bought was a Mark Waid Flash when I was like 8 years old from the grocery store, because I saw it and I liked it. So, having him back here and instantly the voices, just feel right. Not that Cy Spurrier was anything wrong like that, but it just, I don't know. Wally sounds like Wally. Bart sounds like Bart. Max, has all that stuff. So
yeah, I wonder what the setup is here. I wonder if like Mark's just plotting the story out, and Cantwell's the one who's doing the scripting per se, but it doesn't mention it just says they're both writers, so who knows. But Wally's running super speed. He's trying to catch up with
the Alchemist.
Thank you. I was never going to remember that. There's so many characters with green hoods that are villains in DC. I never remember which one's which.
Well, just with Flash too. Like you had the Jay Garrick's guy. Who was that? Dr. Element, right? He's got the green hood.
That sounds right.
Looking like Dr. Doom, right? And you have the Piper. Those are just two off the top of my head. Yeah. So
there's a bunch of them.
The Alchemist. So, But yeah.
What I did like here is I liked Wally and his narration talking about how he's going so fast he has to account for the curvature of the Earth, otherwise he might like set himself off into space.
Terminal velocity.
Which I thought was an interesting detail that you don't usually get brought up. So he also has to make a big leap at one point over a cliff, which he thinks is a bit risky, but he's able to do it. He pulls it off. And then we would tie it back into Time Trapper telling him and the others about what's going to happen, so on and so on. So, yeah. So, again, much like Superman not really being about Superman for this tie-in arc, it seems like this is going to be a bit more focused on Bart. I also like seeing Iray here. Bart basically takes Iray for a joyride in one of the Justice League shuttles. Or he tries to, and then Superman sort of puts his hand on it and says, "Not now, kids. There's an important meeting happening," and this is the meeting with Time Trapper and all that stuff happening on the Watchtower. So that's fun.
And the return of the impulse emoticons, basically, right, or the emojis. It's got when Superman stops them, it goes to like a thought bubble of Bart having rain over his head with a little cloud.
Mm-hmm.
And these come up a couple times. It was a real joy.
Because you see Superman's raining on his parade.
Yes. Yes.
See.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was little bit more of a recap of the time trapper explaining the Omega Core, the heart of the planet, and all these characters getting involved with it. So all the speedsters sort of huddle around that are currently here, and it's kind of fun that Irie's a little bit older now and is getting to be involved in some of these conversations. But they're like saying, okay, what can we do? Time Trapper and that are going to slow down time, but they're like, hey, but we're speedsters, so we'll be able to take advantage of that because we're even faster and so on, blah, blah, blah. And basically Bart starts saying, we should do something to fix all this. We can go back and deal with this. And Wally's like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that for this reason, that reason. Irie's even arguing that the deathmatch tournament seems like a stupid idea and it seems like a crazy thing. However, though, of course, Bart just runs away when no one's looking, and Wally gets pissed that he's ran away. He's like, oh god, where did Bart go? So I like the debates here of what this is, and Bart just being kind of defiant and Wally having to chase out after him. Because they end up running through the time stream. Wally sees like all these flashbacks to his origin. A lot of this stuff Mark Waid wrote in his run back in the 90s. So this is a cool kind of like, come around thing. The big thing is though, is that Bart goes back to that one shot where Darkseid died, quote unquote, from like last year or 2 years ago, whatever that was now, the All In special. And basically Darkseid turns around and says, oh, I was expecting you. I am like past, present, and future. Darkseid is, bitch.
Yep, I am everything. And yeah, and again, Impulse not thinking things through. I love it.
Yep, he gets punched right in the gut.
Smacked.
Yeah. And in the face, he gets slammed on the ground, and Wally has to come in and save his ass. And we start doing this thing where they basically say that like time's starting to blend together, where Darkseid's also beating up Wally as a kid. He was like he's basically this bully that Wally had. We see that he's got Darkseid kind of like eyes forming, and we see that Bart in his virtual reality in the future is getting beat up, and it's like, no, I'm beating you guys in every part of your timeline now. I think actually Justice League Unlimited helps explain this a little bit, where Justice League Unlimited talks about how the displaced heroes from different parts of the time stream aren't actually the full people. They're kind of like just like snapshots that'll disappear once the timeline's been fixed. And I kind of feel like this whole Darkseid's been everywhere in the timeline at once feels kind of like that as well to me. So
it's a piece of that. And yeah, and the whole thing with Bart in the what's he call it? The virtual reality, he had learned to like go up a level to challenge himself because he was bored, and now the Omega symbol's over his helmet, right, from the virtual reality, and he's not being able to handle it. And then again, the thought bubble, and it's Bart getting knocked out with X on his eyes from a Darkseid hand. Yeah, so no, it's a bit of silliness in here.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I enjoyed the characters in this. I enjoyed Bart, I enjoyed Irie, although I don't think Irie is going to be sticking around so much because it seems like we're following Bart, and to an extent Wally seems to have been thrown back in time as well, although it feels like he gets either he's like landed somewhere else in this time period they end up in when they get run away from Darkseid, or he's went to a different part of the timeline. It's hard to tell from this, but Bart's on his own. It's 1908 in Russia, and things are a bit weird because he starts yelling it for Wally, and then Max Mercury shows up and it's, oh hey, Max is here. That's a friendly face. Nope, he's swore his allegiance to Darkseid's Legion. He's bowing before them. They're here too, and they're like, oh, you thought you escaped our master? No, Darkseid is, and that's the cliffhanger basically.
Yeah. So funnily enough, where he goes in Russia, Tunguska, there's this massive explosion that they're still not sure what caused it. It was probably a meteorite that exploded over this forest, but it essentially created this forest.
In 1908 specifically, or is this just
in 1908? They're not sure what caused it. They think it was a meteorite that exploded over and created this crater and walked out all these trees. And yeah, so the fact that they use it, the writers use it here as Bart manifesting into this timeline with the Omega energy and whatnot. I really like that. That was a fun little tag on things. And then Max Mercury coming in like, out of my way, boy. instantly, a different voice of Max than what we got earlier in the issue, to show something's not right.
No, I'm excited about this. It's like you said, the voices feel good. I'm not sure if we're going to just stick with Bart and he's going to be looking for Wally whilst dealing with all this other stuff, or if it's going to just bounce between them next issue. Because there's so much time with Wally at the start of this issue, it could just be like a twofer where we're bouncing between them. But we'll see. We'll see what happens next time. Yeah, it was nice to be reading Flash again, even if that outfit that he's currently wearing is garbage.
Yeah. But Impulse's suit is still Impulse's suit, so there's hope, that we'll get back to traditional type things here. But no, just reading these characters. I've always been a sucker for Flash, and so not reading Flash is always a big deal for me. But the Side Sprayer stuff I could go back to in the future and try to finish, because it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying it; it was just way too heady. And here, this is what I am more comfortable Flash with, this kind of timey-wimey big cast of characters to spin off of, because the Flash family has always also been a big draw. So the fact that we get Wally and Bart and Max Mercury and Irie, and so and here the fact that it's called Impulse Point, we're even playing with the whole DC continuity of things.
Yeah, there's that. Also Impulse Point is a joke about Flashpoint for a start, so that's funny to me.
Yes.
That he tries to Flashpoint his way out of this whole KO business like an idiot, and this is the result of it. So,
which the whole point of Flashpoint was that it was a mistake of Barry to even go try, right? So the fact that Bart doesn't learn. So
I love that. My favorite thing about the issue though is that Irie sounds like the mature one. Like she's the one saying we shouldn't do this, Bart, even though Bart should be the bigger, what would the relation be? Cousin, I guess. Yeah,
it's like a second cousin of some kind.
Yeah, but he should basically be like a big brother who's the one who's responsible because he's older and more experienced. And Irie's like, no, she's the mature one. She's the one saying this is what we should or should not do. I like that character dynamic. That's fun. So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, all right, and the art is it's all right. It's right. I don't know. It's a kind of house style, I guess. I guess. I guess I would just say that sometimes he maybe overdoes the, like, while he's running fast, so we're going to have him feel like kind of skewed as if he's at an angle. I think he maybe overdoes that a little bit, but otherwise it's kind of just typical house style for me, with some all right layouts.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Georgiev. We've seen Georgiev in a ton of other books. I think some Shazam. The Amazon's book had Mary Marvel in it, and all of them. So I really like the layouts. It has a lot of fun once we start getting to the timey-wimey aspect of stuff. There's the scene where Darkseid's just beating the piss out of him, and they're playing with the lightning bolts, and it's carving up the page and creating all the different panels and whatnot. So
and it's just funny.
It's a lot of fun to read.
Yeah, it's just funny seeing him get the shit kicked out of him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think part of it as well is that, to credit to the art here, is that while I do have a few issues here or there, the expressions tend to be quite good, and I think that makes like Bart like getting his comeuppance for being an idiot funnier, because his expressions, like when he gets punched and his like face is all wrinkled up from the punch and whatnot, that makes it more enjoyable. So the art is adding a lot to those moments. So there is good stuff in there, and not to dismiss it outright, for sure. What are you giving Flash 26?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I'll just go flat 7, but I'm having a good time. It's nice to have the voices back, and very pleasant, and I think it's a solid tie-in. Again, not essential to reading KO, but I think it's adding to a lot of the outer world if you're reading some of these books that are tying into it, so that's cool. Alright, Justice League Unlimited issue 12, Mark Waid writing with Dan Mora on the art. So another KO tie-in story here. One that actually doesn't like play its hand until the very end as to what the actual premise of this arc is going to be. But to be fair though, as much as I've been critical of this book on and off, as it's been going through some of its arcs, much like Superman, I think the focus of this KO stuff going on has made it feel like it's got a bit more of a focus itself, so it does feel like it's a bit more smarter with how it handles things. We see like basically the various Justice League members who aren't in the tournament evacuating the cities. We see Jess, Green Lantern Jess doing that. We see Fire and Ice doing it, and then we go to Gotham, and Batgirl Barbara is with the Atom, and they're try to evacuate people. But they get a call saying that there's been a bank robbery, and it turns out to be Polka Dot Man. And they're like, what the hell? All the big villains have got sent to the Phantom Zone. Like, that was part of the whole plan. Why are these, like, C-tier villains, these D-tier villains, getting ballsy? But then Polka Dot Man actually yells at them, please don't come near me, I don't want to hurt you, and then he explodes, like an actual explosion. And the premise of this story is that a lot of these low-level villains all of a sudden have, like, extra superpowers and have dangerous abilities. And the reveal, right, that happens is that there's some debating here about what to do, what's going on, Renee questions involved. But basically, like, what's the Neron, right? The demon.
Neron.
Right. So the reveal is that these villains must have made a deal for their souls with Neron at some point to get more powers, and because like the apocalypse is happening and the Earth's changing, all of this stuff is kicking in because they're all expecting to go to hell. And it's like, okay, how do we deal with all this? Because we don't really want to take a lot of the heroes that are doing evacuation stuff off of that, because it'll mean we don't get everyone out in time. We want to be able to evacuate everyone. We've evacuated 60% of the Earth, they say. There's 40% left. We cannot pull people off that. We need a special team to go after these villains that are causing trouble. And they mention Captain Cold and Heatwave having extra powers. They mention a few other ones. So the plot of this book is that Terrific's putting together a team of the extra heroes, the displaced ones from different parts of the time periods. We have like 90s Aquaman, we got Power Girl from whenever that version of Power Girl comes from. We have Warrior Guy Gardner, we've got Blue Superman, we have Alien Hawkman, we have Batman Beyond, but it's Tim Drake Batman.
Yes, which that's been a thing, and I forget, that was in a Teen Titans storyline.
Sure.
Tim Drake became the Batman Beyond. So yeah. Kingdom Come, Alan Scott.
Yep.
That was cool. Dr. Fate, I'm assuming from the future.
Yeah, I don't know who
Sophie.
Yeah, I don't know who Sophie Dr. Fate is. Like, I know from context, I get the idea, but like, I don't know specifically where that comes from. And then there's Owl Woman from the Justice Legion from like way in the future. So yeah. So these 9 people are going to be with Terrific, and the arc's called the Terrific 10. He's going to send them on a mission. Now he's very coy about what that mission is, but he does explain to them that these people are not full people. Like, you're echoes of people. You will cease to exist once everything's been fixed. But you're still a good people, and the versions of you that you came from will still exist in the timeline, but you won't be going back to that. You'll just kind of disappear. But whilst you're here, can you help? Can you do this and do this mission? And there's a whole scene here where actually Guy Gardner goes to ICE and tries to basically say, hey, can we have like an afternoon of sex before I go on this mission? But since I assume we're married by now because we're in the future, and like
it's not cheating if it's with me from the past. She was like, Guy.
Until he says, like, unless you think it's fun to think of it as cheating. And then eventually, like, fires, like, you're not together anymore, you idiot. Effectively. So he gets really sad and flies off. And, you know, I enjoy Guy Gardner getting a little humiliated. Not gonna lie.
And especially this version of him, which is, like, the most abrasive version of Guy. Like, this is mid-90s Guy. This is after Batman had knocked him out with the one punch in Justice League. International. So, you know, he has the warrior power, so he has like this alien power subset. Here though, it seems he has a ring still. So just and then Tora Ice at the end here, where, you know, completely overtaken and hugging onto fire. This is just Dan Mora.
Yeah, this is the stuff that you can do with this like timeline stuff where you're bringing versions of characters around time periods, is that much like Alfred being seen by Dick and Batman when they were out of time, I think this works at an emotional level, which is quite nice. But probably my favorite scene of the issue actually is Aquaman, like 90s Aquaman goes into like the aqua like chambers on the watchtower that's actually filled with water, and he sees the different suits and the different versions, but he sees Khalid, he sees Dolphin, he sees his daughter, and he starts crying because he's like, wait, I have a kid in the future with Mira. And he's like really like touched by this, and he doesn't know how to take it. And then Martian Manhunter comes in and says, you probably really shouldn't be in here, but he's like, hey, that's your daughter and her name is Andy, like, and it's like a kind of a sweet moment. And it's like, okay, so it's setting all this stuff up. You've got Power Girl leaving out like a message for herself because the main Power Girl is in the tournament, so this time displaced Power Girl is like, hey, now that I know I'm not going to exist anymore, that anger I have from losing Krypton's gone. Like, I'm not angry anymore, so I want you to know that you don't have to feel that way if you're still angry. I thought that was kind of sweet. So, like, I thought there was some interesting stuff here. They do, like, a page where it's, like, airwaves giving them a distress call, like something's not going right out in space, but the shadow demons are attacking them at the vanishing point. So they set up that. But the end of the issue, the reveal is Mr. Terrific takes them through a boom tube, and they tease that this boom tube's doing something that a boom tube's never done before. It's going somewhere that a boom tube doesn't normally go. The reveal is that this team are going to hell because Mr. Terrific's solution to all these villains having powers that are not supposed to have villains is to go to the source of why they have powers, which is Neron in hell. So I like that there's a lot of good setup in this of the characters on the team, and some of it's quite nice and emotional, and it plays with the way you can play with it because there's time travel involved. But I kind of like that the actual mission itself isn't revealed to the last page, and it feels like, oh shit, that's actually quite ballsy. That's like a bigger swing than just going after the villains one by one. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole idea is like they are these, what did he call them? Quantum ghosts. So like
that's what he called them.
Matters. Yeah, so like they can go down into hell. And I'm just wondering if like which of these characters is like, well, none of this matters anyway. So like if Guy Gardner makes a deal with Neron, what's that gonna do? You know, like he gets what he wants, Neron gets a soul, even though he's not really a soul. Like but yeah, there's kind of a Dirty Dozens aspect to it as well.
Yeah, I mean maybe Neron will just know that it's not a full person. He's like, no, I can't make a deal with you because you don't have a soul to give.
Right. So, but yeah, just them boom tumbling into hell and the whole, welcome to hell. I became aware of Dan Mora through Once and Future because of Connor constantly talking about that book where it was playing with Arthurian legend and all this other stuff. And this last page is to Mora's strengths of the fantasy side of things. Like that is a ghastly version of hell. And I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, and the art is pretty solid here, obviously. Dan Mora knows what he's doing, and he's getting to draw a bunch of characters that he normally wouldn't draw. Like, sometimes my biggest critique of this book is that there's too many characters and there's too much going on. Despite the fact that there's 10 characters being introduced as this team, I think it does a pretty good job of giving enough of them some really good moments to make me care about the team and make it be kind of sad that they're all going to just die if they succeed, but it's like the right thing to do, so there is this sacrificial element to it. Yeah, I kind of like this tie-in story, and I'm surprised because this is one of the books that I'm more critical on every month. I'm kind of digging the KO tie-ins so far, so which is good because it's going to be here for the next 5 months or whatever. So all right, what are you giving Justice League Unlimited?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
I think I agree with that. I'm surprised to say it, but Waid surprised us with World's Finest last week, and I think he surprised us again this week with Unlimited. It's a good month for Mark Waid, I think. I'm sure there was something he did that wasn't good this month, but certainly these last two things have been very, very solid. Yeah. So, nice. I mean, maybe it'll fall apart next issue. Maybe all the goodwill here will go away, but like I thought this was a well set up issue for an interesting tie-in arc, like with a bunch of. It's not even like B-listers. It's just kind of like a weird, group,
Yeah. Well, you said it. I almost feel like some of it's like he's always wanted to draw Electric Superman, and now he gets to, So
could be it. Could be it. Green Lantern Dark issue 7, Tate Brombal writing with Werther Dell'Edera on the art. So this is the finale of this Elseworld miniseries, and yeah, it does a lot of simple paying off stuff that I think. Ultimately, what this ends up being is an exploration of the main character and the fact that she was ready to die. She wanted to die at the start of this book. And one of the most touching things about that first issue is that she didn't want to help, but Lynette convinced her convinced her there was a reason to still help people. So ultimately, this has turned into a book about someone who has been suicidal and wanted to end things and been ready to die, been convinced not to do that, but then thinking that she's not deserving of anything because she gave up. Like, she sees herself as a failure because even though she didn't go through with it, even though she's stuck around and did some things, she says, I don't deserve this power. I gave up. I am not a hero. I was willing to let it all go. And like these other Green Lanterns in the Oa realm that she goes to when she's like kind of died, all say to her like, no, we all at one point gave up for one reason or another. And some of them tell their stories about what their their tragic backstories were and how they struggled. And no, like willpower and like do you have any idea how much willpower you need to have to be as stubborn as you are? Like, I thought that was a really funny line.
That hit me because I joke that sometimes I exist out of spite.
Yes.
Right? I have this stubbornness to me. And that line right there, you know how much willpower you need to be that stubborn? And just the idea, like, yeah, we all have these dips, right? But the fact that you didn't give up, you didn't go through with what you wanted to do, the fact that you let, this love of Lunette and wanting to save her pull you back to doing things, right? Just out of that's what makes you you. That's why you got the green flame. And that stuff that, and again, some of that's been had ups and downs with depression, anxiety, and all that. This issue in particularly really hit me, like right in the heart.
Yeah,
so,
I thought it brought it back round in a way where I've enjoyed the book throughout, but definitely a couple of the middle issues didn't feel as hard hitting as the first one or two. And I think this last issue brought it back up again to feeling like it really was making its point by the end. And I think both the stuff with her, like basically getting the willpower and the will to believe that she's deserving of being the champion and wanting to come back and choosing to live is really touching. I wasn't expecting because obviously one of my favorite things in comics as a Batman fan is like one of those like the bat signal turns on moments where it's like, no, he's announcing he's here to save people, and like the hope that fills people with. I wasn't expecting a moment like that with the Bat Wraith, where he's basically like talking to his body, and he's basically giving up as well. He's saying there's no hope. Why even bother trying? And it's this random woman with a daughter who comes in to light the candles and basically tells the story about how even if the green light is out, like one of the things we do as people is that we always keep the light burning, and even if you're going to eventually be gone yourself, you make sure you light another candle so that someone else can keep the light burning. And it's this little hopeful thing from a stranger that basically has Batwraith go, yeah, I'm going to turn the light on. And not literally, but he basically makes a big giant bat symbol in the sky, and like this woman like tells her daughter, oh, that's the Batman, like the Batman's back. And it's just, I don't know, it was a really I wasn't expecting to be a good Batman moment like this in this Green Lantern story, but it was good.
And then her going out to the kids and did you light the ghosties candles too?
Yeah.
Right? Like just these kids are in this dark time. They don't realize like this giant celestial worm's coming to consume everything. And there's just like this pure innocence to them wanting to know if you lit the candle for the ghost. And like everything's gonna be okay, right? This is why we light the lights. So
and I love in the art that the Bat Wraith's like shadow or whatever you want to call it is like just on the wall listening to this conversation, and I love the idea of him being inspired by this like this random woman's like story to the kids, and the idea that she still remembers who Batman is and believes in Batman. It gives him the willpower and the motivation to be Batman one last time, to go out with a bang, because his body fades away, he fades away when the light comes back on, like daylight comes back. So yeah, that stuff's great. Really like that. And then obviously the giant worm's coming, and that's when Bat Wraith decides to like shine the bat symbol. And the idea basically is that when Green Lantern chooses to live, all the green flames come back, all the light comes back. It fills everyone with hope, and this worm is attracted to darkness, is attracted to misery and fear and all those things. And effectively what happens is that because the villain has been, Demona has been sucking in all these feelings from the townsfolk that she's been terrifying all over the planet, she becomes the only target because everyone else feels hope. Everyone else feels that things are going to be okay. And this worm just comes for her and eats her. And that's kind of like how things like pay off at the end. So yeah, that's really, there's a lot of sweet elements to it. It feels big, it feels bold. If I have any critiques at all, because I love when like the Green Lantern gets reunited with Lynette and all that, and that's all very sweet. But if I have one critique, it's maybe the whole thing with the brother being convinced to turn on her. Like, I feel like in this issue, he just pivots like 180 immediately. The second he hears the villain say like one dodgy thing, he's like, oh, you lied to us, I'm mad now. That's the only thing where I felt like that feels a bit rushed. And I don't know if it has a payoff that I thought it would.
Yeah. No, that makes sense too, because that was the whole thing with Lunette, right? Was the brother being corrupted by
Yeah.
Demona and whatnot, and it didn't feel like there was any resolution. So he said he does a real quick 180.
Just a quick
So
180, and then he's on board with Lynette and everything she wants with the Green Lantern again. But, you know, the daylight's back at the end, everyone's happy, and basically the Green Lantern's like, hey, you know, we're going to go off and keep, this town's safe now, but I'm going to go off and make sure all the other towns are safe. I'm going to see who else out there needs help. And we get this idea that there's still people with lanterns telling the story of the Green Lantern, that's still ongoing, to spreading the word that someone's out there doing good, and to give people hope and the willpower to keep going. So no, it's good that it really talks about willpower a lot. It talks about how life shouldn't really exist, but it keeps on existing. Because they go into a little bit of the creation of the worm, and the worm was there to like take away like worlds that didn't have any like hope or willpower left, but life kept having willpower. To quote one Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park, life kept finding a way, and it was just willpower that was making life continue when it shouldn't. So, no, good. Obviously, the art has been solid throughout as well. The greens are really popping against the purples and the pinks of a lot of the other scenes. And the daylight stuff at the end stuck out because most of the book has not looked like that outside of Demona's weird bubble that we've seen occasionally.
Yeah, well, and then too, that last, like right before the last couple pages, it's with Bat Wraith, and just the way that door opens and he steps out from that darkness into that light
and fades away.
Just the way that and just fades away, but just the way that Dell'Edera draws this, and the way that he says into the light, and the way that the darkness and the yellow hue of the sunlight and everything, it just there's a vibe to it that I can't really explain, but it just feels.
It feels like
it's a.
It feels like the colors on this page is a color we've not seen the entire book, right? There's been different versions of Daylight in Demona's world, but this exact sort of tone has not been there the entire time, so it feels kind of special.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, good time.
And then that big cosmic worm, man. It took me a second to realize what was going on with. It just gets to the page with the castle, right, and the worm's kind of wrapped around it, but it's going through it. And I was like, I stared at that page forever, and it's not because it's poorly drawn or anything. It was just like, what am I supposed to be looking at? Yeah. And then as I kept reading, it was
it's clear in the next page that it basically passes through anything that isn't food for it, because it's the hope's there, right? Because the characters say, "Oh, just pass through us," so you get that it's just passing through the castle because it's it's not eating that. Yeah,
it put everything into scale, right? How big this thing is, So I thought that was really cool. But I wasn't expecting this one to hit me as emotionally as it did, and that whole that's why we live. We go and it says that candle to candle we hold back the night. And it's all about that we bring the light that we need, right? And we bring lights to others, and they shine their light on us, and everything's about that's why we live. And it was a lot of good time, and I'm kind of gonna miss it, because this was a book that we could count on. It was always solid. I will say maybe it didn't need to be 7 issues. There was one of the issues that I felt like was a bit. I forget which one it was. It was like 4 or 5, But yeah, a lot of fun lore, and I'm curious to see what Brombal does next, right? Because we got Batgirl ongoing right now.
Yeah, hopefully there's another book in the near future. Yeah. So no, it was a good time. It was a bit different, and I think issues 1, 2, and 7 especially are the ones that stick out to me as being particularly great. And then there's some good stuff in those middle ones, don't get me wrong, they weren't bad, but there was definitely that one where it kind of felt a little bit like repetitive with the visions or the whatever it was. So but yeah, what are you giving Green Lantern Dark?
I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
Oh, very nice. I don't know. I feel like because the middle was a little bit weaker, I'm not as attached to it as I was at the start when it was really impressing me, but this was a really good issue. So I think I'll still just go straight 8, but like I get it. I get why you're giving it an 8.5 for sure. Alright, that'll take us on to the last part of the show where we pick our favourite stuff of the week, favourite panel/moment, favourite cover, favourite art, top 5 books, all that stuff. So Matt, what is your panel/moment of the week?
Alright, so there's some in Green Lantern Dark that really hit emotionally, but I don't know if that's going to override some of the more fun things. Superman stopping Impulse and Irie from taking that jet out. I thought that was really funny. And Lois sitting down to interview Jor-El was really strong. But my moment's going to be from Absolute Wonder Woman, and it's going to be when I'm trying to get to it, is when Barbara Ann starts explaining the Amazons to Diana. I just think that whole sequence is a lot of fun. It plays out over the course of the issue. We get a bunch of fun history. I get some more Barbara Ann, which I'm a big fan of, and yeah. But if I narrowing it down, the scene where they talk about them not finding a skeleton or not even seeing a skull, because they might have carried out their dead, or that they couldn't be killed. Really, really strong point.
Yeah, do you know, I might go with Lois going to talk to Jor-El. I actually really like that scene conceptually, and
Yeah.
I don't normally pick something from a Williamson book. I really don't. I'm surprised to be saying that, honestly, but yeah, I think that might be the pick. It really might be. I'm just looking at the other list of books here and seeing if there's anything sticking out to me. Because there's good moments in Detective, there's obviously good moments in Absolute Wonder Woman and so on, but I think I'm going to go with that, yeah. So that's that. For cover of the week, main Green Lantern cover's cool, with just Hal and Carol's hands on the cover, really simple. I really like the David Talaski variant for Absolute Wonder Woman with all the red and her hair's kind of all sticking up as she's got her big buster sword.
I want to paint that on the side of a van.
That's good stuff. That looks like. That's good stuff. I like the David Aja variant of Superman, which is like Clark going into a phone booth, and then you can see Superman's sort of legs as he's flying off. And it's got that really sort of simple, flat art from Aja that just looks really good coloring. My pick though is going to be the Greg Smallwood variant of Detective Comics, which is it's like on its side, so you have to sort of look at it sideways, but it's got a very sort of like crime detective look to it, where you've got Batman in this gorgeous painted style, but I love that you've got Gordon out of focus in the foreground to give it this sense of depth. It's just really nice, and obviously Smallwood's a great artist, so there was a lot of good artists doing variants this week. So because there was even, there was like a spokes cover for like Justice League Unlimited, I think there was other stuff. What's your pick of the week?
So you also have Fornes doing a essentially like a KO type variant for Superman. It's got, Booster with the Legion, Darkseid's Legion, Darkseid behind him. And that's a really strong effort. Green Lantern Dark has a Janin variant that is just like an action scene of their Green Lantern walloping a bunch of these zombies, and just the green is just glowing. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, that Fornes Superman cover is quite nice. I didn't even look at that one, but it's good.
And then Justice League Unlimited has a Nathan Surdy variant that's got Starfire and Vixen on the cover, and I just bring up that I got to bring up Starfire when it's on there. But my pick's gonna be one that Pete already discussed, and it's that Aja Superman. I love the flatness of it. It gives it that kind of golden agey kind of feel, and it's got Clark going into the phone booth in the big oversized suit, and then you just see Superman's legs going off the panel with the trajectory from the telephone booth. It's just like a classic Superman image. So
Yep. No, quite right. Art of the week we got.
This is tough because we were kind of spoiled this week, right? You got Janin for Tech, you got Mora for Unlimited, you got what else you got? Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm drawing a blank on that guy. But because it's the last time it's going to show up, I'm going to give it to Dell'Edera for Green Lantern Dark.
Yeah, that was
good. I
good.
thought it was really strong. The way that it was playing with all the different colors and the light and the breakdowns. So, yeah.
Yeah, Yaren's great on Detective. Really like that. Barrows on Superman I really enjoyed. Yeah, you know what? I think Dell'Edera takes it, actually. When you said that, I thought, I don't think I'm picking him. But now that I'm looking at the rest of the list, I'm like, you know what? Actually, I think I am picking him, because I think Janin and Barrows were the ones that would have fought him for it. But I think that there's more standout stuff in Green Lantern Dark overall. But yeah, there you go. All right, so top 5 books, Matt, go.
All right, so number 1's going to be Absolute Wonder Woman. 2 is Green Lantern Dark. 3 is Justice League Unlimited. 4 is Detective Comics, and 5 is Superman.
Yeah, my number 1 is Absolute Wonder Woman. My number 2 is... Oh god, that's actually a tough week. 2 is Green Lantern Dark. 3 is Detective Comics. 4 is Superman. 5 is Justice League Unlimited. A surprising list this week, actually. But yeah, I'll tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics. It is a week 5, so it is going to be a shorter list here, but we have Absolute Batman issue 1, or sorry, Absolute Batman Annual issue 1, I should say. Batman and Robin year 1 issue 12 is next week, so that's wrapping up. That gets a whole spotlight almost to itself, as does Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween issue 10, so that's another final issue next week. And then for those interested, there's also a Superman Red and Blue 2025 special issue 1, which is an oversized one-shot. And then there's just reprints, and that's pretty much it. We are going to have a show next week. We're going to use that as a way to, one, for me to just do a bunch of Patreon books, because I've got 3 still to do. So next week I'll be doing Batman The Outsiders, I'll do Planetary, and I'll do my second Gideon Falls. So kind of a hodgepodge week next time. And I think we're also going to use it to get ahead in our Patreon exclusive book next week too. So we're using the time wisely rather than taking the week off, but that's what's coming next week. So I'm excited to see what the end of Batman and Robin year 1 is, and I'm excited about the Absolute Batman Annual, given that's got a few different stories in there by different creators.
There's been a lot of hype around that Absolute Batman Annual. Daniel Warren Johnson's been posting things, so very excited.
Yeah, very bat heavy week 5, but hey, I mean, it meant that some of these other weeks were a bit lighter because they can move those final issues to this week 5, so that's always appreciated. So that is that, which brings an end to the show. I will just remind you can support the show over at Patreon or via YouTube membership and get access to an exclusive review of Batgirl year 1 that we're doing month to month. For now, you also get access to the vote, which is ongoing. It'll finish at the end of the month. If I remember correctly, the options are that Harley and Poison Ivy book that's starting next month. The next issue of Supergirl's on the vote, and of course the ever-present Cassandra Cain Batgirl as the third option is there as well. So look for that and make sure your vote's heard if you're a patron or YouTube member. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you very much for joining. We do appreciate it. Everyone who already supports us, thank you very much to you guys as well. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.